and welcome to The Vision Room, a brand new podcast series from Vision Scotland. I'm your host, Heather Suttie, and my guest today is Reece Donnelly, who many of you will remember from The Apprentice. Since then, he's successfully built 3 businesses, and we'll talk about resilience, ambition, and health and well-being. Reece Donnelly, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. There are so many things that I want to talk to you about today.
There's so many ways this could go. That's the problem.
Right, first of all, you're an entrepreneur. What decision made you choose to be an entrepreneur? Like, what was your vision as a child when you were growing up?
I think growing up, my vision was always I wanted to be an actor. I started out on kids' telly, and then I was very fortunate as a teenager. I worked on a nationwide BBC drama, but that vision changed pretty quickly after realising that unless you're at the top of that acting game, it's not a full-time job. And the type of brain and vision that I've got is I need routine, I need structure, and I very quickly realised that that wasn't going to be being an actor in the industry unless you're in a contract for 10 years, which they are like gold dust. And if anybody's in a contract for 10 years, I'm so pleased for you, but it's very rare. So I, at the ripe age of 19, decided that I wanted to open my first business, which was the Theatre School of Scotland. Still my firstborn, and I love her. But the vision for that was to create a training platform for kids in Scotland where they didn't need to travel to London or Manchester to get screen and stage training. And I think that vision still remains the same. I want to train and develop Scotland's next generation of talent, and how that looks, it just excites me so much because I don't know if I've got the next James McAvoy in my classes. And that's the thing that's so exciting about that vision.
Yeah. And also, I want to congratulate you on that because I know that recently you've graduated not just from a college status, but to university recognition.
Which was massive. I think that if you would have told the 19-year-old that hired his primary school gym hall and did some after-school drama classes that we were going to be a uni, then I would have fell on my back. But I think as you grow, as I grew as a business owner and I grew the vision of the brand, I was like, well, why are we not going to become a uni? Like, why are we not going to get university status? Because what that does is opens up, one, we're one of 2 in Scotland that has university status, which means that we can invite international students, but it also means that we can grow our own homegrown talent to not have them go into an industry where they don't have that bit of paper of academia to back them up. And I just think nobody's ever going to argue with a degree.
No, absolutely.
I think if we're here anyway, let's give you a degree.
I love it. I love it. And one of the things that you had the vision to say yes to whilst you were building Theatre School for Scotland was you were approached to be on The Apprentice.
I sure was.
What made you decide to say yes to that invite?
I said no a hell of a lot more to that before I said yes, and I will say that. The thing that changed it for me was there's no sort of secret here that I was a brand ambassador for one of Scotland's largest bank firms, and I was standing delivering a workshop to young entrepreneurs. I say young entrepreneurs, I was probably still the youngest in the room, but I was delivering a pitch deck on how your 60-second elevator pitch is the recipe to success. So as I stood in one of the bank's firms, there was one of the Lord Sugar's advisors was at the back of the room and said to me, can I have a word? And he was like, I think you would be great for this TV show I work on. It's called The Apprentice. And I went, thank you so much. I said, but it's full of idiots, was my first reaction, which now it is so ignorant of me to say that. But that was a perception that I had of the show. And long story short, they managed to convince me to come in for a chat. And I met this amazing producer called Mandy who reassured me that actually there was calibre of talent, there was leaders in there was people who had strong visions. But it did take some convincing, Heather, because what you see on BBC One at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night would tell you the opposite of that. And I just had this vision of, am I going to go down here and end up ruining the reputation that I've actually built? And I then was presented with an opportunity where we were like, right, it's 3.5 months away from your business, but what does it leave me with? And for me, I was like, the bottom line of it came down to, I wanted to win because I wanted the investment.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to win because I wanted to make a statement and a record for Scotland. But the actual harsh reality of it was I didn't want to give anyone 50% of my business for 250 grand. In my opinion, it's bad business. Like, if somebody was to say to me right now, 250 grand for 50% stake, I would say, chase yourself. But in that moment, when you've got 10 million viewers, when you've got all the media and you've got all the PR around you, it was a very good business decision for us. So they managed to convince me to come on the show. And I still say it's one of those moments that I say at 25, to run about the world with Lord Sugar, Baroness Brady and Tim, I'm so grateful for.
And you did well. And I think I'm pleased for you that it ended the way that it did.
The universe works in magical ways, right? We are quite spiritual and you know that. And I love the fact of, I thought I was going there, and any of my castmates will tell you, I used to say to them every day, good luck guys, because there's only one person leaving in the Rolls Royce. And I used to say it to them every day just to make sure everybody knew their place, make sure that we all knew what we were there for. And I was kind and I was supportive, but if there's one thing I had, it was that Lord Sugar was dropping me off in that Rolls Royce. And when that was taken away from me because of my health, I was like, hold on, this isn't in the plan. Like, how do we end up here? But 6 months passed by, and now that we do have university status, which is what I went on the show for, I think it's quite amazing to think that I have managed to achieve that without the financial contribution from him and without the educational backing of one of his advisors. But it makes it all more worthwhile that actually we still got here.
Exactly. Now, forgive me for saying this, but you look very different now to when you first appeared on the show. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you reminded me of Harry Potter.
The glasses.
When you were on The Apprentice.
The glasses, the jawline, the
stubble.
The overindulgence of sugary sweets, everything. There was so many. I think you probably know yourself, Heather, but when life gets busy, the one thing you don't do is look after yourself. And filming on that show was a prime example of that. I would have rathered that extra 5 minutes to think in my head of tactics than try and go and make a protein shake. And it's no secret that, the show's diet is Haribo's and whatever crew catering you've got on the day. So ultimately, what you need to do is you need to take the pack of cards that you've been dealt. But I really took my life back into my hands when I finished on the show. So in the past sort of 3 years, I've been on a massive journey of health and wellness. And what wellness looks like to you and what it looks like to me is so different. But the first thing that we did is we got rid of those Harry Potter glasses. Very, very excited that I got laser eye surgery. One of the best things I've ever done. A massive stumbling block for me was when I was going to the gym, I used to wear glasses. Wearing glasses to the gym, one, it used to give me a complex. I had no confidence. I would sweat, the glasses would sweat, we would have steam. So automatically I'd have been like, get me out of here and let's go get something to eat. But overcoming that hurdle and getting laser eye surgery, one, it felt like I had so much more space to grow. I then felt like, actually, what do I want? And I think that as a business owner, if you're not present and you're not healthy, and if you don't have your health, being on the show taught me that if you don't have your health, you've not got anything. So a massive focus for me over the past few years has been prioritising my health and my wellness, my gym, what I eat, the type of things I eat, when I eat them. So I've loved being on my sort of health and wellness journey over the past 3 years.
And you can so absolutely see and reap benefits.
Do you know what? I think I'm turning 30 this year, big 3-0, and all I want is a body that I love and a mind that gets me through the day every day. And I think if you're mentally focused, if you're present, I think that everything else just falls into place with the vision with your business.
Absolutely. And I think the whole part of, being healthy and going to the gym and having discipline is, it's not just great for your physical well-being, but also your emotional, your spiritual, your mental well-being. And I think that's probably attributed to your success as an entrepreneur. Because not only do you have Theatre School of Scotland, you also have a company called Patter Productions, which is an adult
So our first launch, Patter Productions, is a brand new theatrical and TV production company. We are in pre-production right now for We did our first adult panto at the start of the year. We had Sanjeev Kohli, we had Gail Telfer-Stevens, who's the co-founder, but we'd actually, the merit is so loose. You never know. We might be developing some TV stuff as well. And I just think when you're in the right frame of mind, when you feel good, when you have a vision, really, everything else is just quite exciting because it all falls into place.
Yes, very much so. And you have a third business. Tell us about where the idea for Skinny came from, why you decided to launch in Uddingston, and what are your plans for the future?
I'll give you an exclusive here, actually. Skinny was never, ever, ever meant to be skinny.
Okay.
I wanted to open a franchise of Joe and the Juice.
Oh my gosh, I love Joe the Juice.
Well, that's exactly what we do, but I would say in a much more calorie controlled and a much more healthy way. I am obsessed with Joe and the Juice. If you were to ask me my favourite lunch, I would invite you to come for a spicy tuna, right? A tuna flatbread. As someone that travels to London twice a week for work, I would make sure before I got on that London City flight that I had a spicy tuna and a pick-me-up juice in my hand. So I thought, okay, I want one of these. Yeah. My rule is if you want something, we need to work hard to get it. So I emailed them, hi, can I have a franchise? And they said, Scotland is a territory we are not interested in, nor will never be interested in.
Oh, so let's just talk about that for a minute, because they have them in Dubai.
Yeah,
because I've been to
I work in a lot.
Yeah. So what was the rationale for not wanting to introduce health and well-being as a brand like that in Scotland?
I would imagine that's probably the harsh reality of the stats within the country, which we are trying to combat. We have got the lowest life expectancy in the full of Europe and still do in 2026. So I imagine they just probably look at it as a business perspective and think maybe it's not for us. It might change now that we've got a Skinny in Scotland, but Skinny is an amazing brand that we decided to create. Bit of tongue in cheek in the name. Yeah. I would always say Skinny's a name that people might say is quite controversial. I would say it's the food that's skinny. Yeah. It's the food that's a healthier choice.
It's funny because I do think it is quite controversial, and I know why you chose it, because I remember Kate Moss said something like,
nothing tastes as good as Skinny feels, but I would argue nothing feels as good as Skinny tastes.
Oh.
That was our marketing.
I see what you did
there. That was our marketing. On the side of buses, on the side of billboards, and people were like, oh, somebody's bringing that back. And I was like, Kate Moss had it, but we flipped it.
Wow.
So Skinny now operates out of Uddingston train station. We specialise in cold pressed juices, matchas, artisan flatbreads. It's our first location. We've already locked in Site 2, which opens in the summer, and it's just a brand that's so universal. It's great for pop-ups. It's great for wellness events. But rather than us going and drinking calorific frappuccinos from other household brand names, we would bring in a much healthier option.
Okay. My question to you is this: running 3 businesses, working out and finding time to appear on TV, radio, GB News, podcasts such as this one, when do you sleep?
I actually get 8 hours a night. I tell everybody this, I think there's a common misconception that to live in a sort of higher frequency pace that you need to be not sleeping, not eating well. I would say any business owner, put the right people in the right place is my best advice. Every single business that I own has a team. The theatre school's got 3 sites. There's 3 managers. There's a general manager. There's a director there. Skinny's got an operations manager. It's got a store manager. For Patter, it's the newest business I've got. I'm still very much on the tools, but I love it. I think the day that I don't love being on the tools, I quite selfishly love when somebody phones in sick to Skinny and I get to go in and do the matches. It's like, we're not saving lives. You know, we're giving people a matcha, we're putting on shows, we're teaching students how to act, sing and dance, and it's not that deep, is it?
Well, I mean, I think maybe it's not deep. However, I think that certainly with Theatre School for Scotland, you know, what you're doing is you are shaping the future of young people. And I think there is a big responsibility there. And I think that you've obviously been successful in the past because you've managed to land young talent in film, theatre, TV productions.
I always say, it was so special. One day we got to watch the Christmas special of Call the Midwife with the only ever Scottish child on it. But that comes through. It's like, as a business owner, you're always going to, I always say I'm like a dog with a bone, right? I'll get what I want if I keep banging the door down. But that comes from vision. I think that you need to have a vision and you need to put the right people in the right places. Some of the worst decisions I've made in business is by putting the wrong people in a place where I'm like, why did I ever put you in that role? But I think that being a business owner, and for me owning several businesses, I can always set the ideas, I can set the vision, but I need the team to rally the operations plan to make that happen. I'll always be there on launch day. I'll always be there on menu decision day. I'll always be there to make sure that somebody's present and somebody's the face of the brand. But I do need a fantastic operational and marketing team behind that. And that's exactly what we've got.
So you're clearly an intuitive person when it comes to bringing on board the right people.
I say that. I would say that right now we have one of the best teams we've ever had, but that comes of growing people and actually making sure that people feel valued. Like, I'm only as strong as the last show I put out. I'm only as strong as the last busy Saturday I had. You know, as a presenter, I'm only as good as my last debate on GB or Good Morning Britain. So you need to strive for more. And I think what I'm really good at is making sure that my team feels supported, but making sure that we go, right, that was last year. What's this year? What can we do to shape the next year?
Yeah. And I love that. I love that you have that drive and that ambition and that vision. But also, I imagine what forms part of what you teach your students is resilience, because in business, we've faced knockbacks all the time, but particularly with kids going up for auditions, for example, you know, how important is it to teach resilience?
Resilience in this industry, in that sector that we work in, that I work in, that we sit in here now. I always say the more you fling at the dartboard, something's going to hit the bullseye. And I could not say that better to students. It's like, for every 10 no's, you're going to get a yes. But I actually think when you enjoy the process of flinging the darts, or when you enjoy the process of sending the treatments and them saying no, like, I love a bit of feedback. If a commissioner is going to give me feedback on why my documentary isn't fit for their brand, I'm open, I'm all ears. But what I want to know is, what are we going to do to combat that feedback and how are we going to fix it? And that's the exact same I would say to any performing arts student. If I tell you that, okay, your pitch was flat there, go in the studio and fix it, and see next week when you come in, we go, your pitch was bang on, let's move on to your tone. And it's like, there's always a building block. I think for me, I love to look at myself and think, how can I be better? How can I strive for more? But that's something that we really try and teach the younger generation, because they grow up in a world that we didn't. I mean, I was born in 1996. Yes, we had a digital age, but now I really empathise with parents, and I empathise with students that need to grow up in such a digital world, where years ago I would show up to an acting class and you would have to stand in front of the mirror and you would have to look around you. But now you need to stand in front of the mirror. You need to leave and look at an Instagram story, leave and look at a TikTok, then go on X and see another. There's all this comparisons. But I think if you find peace in going, this is who I am now, this is what I need to do to get there, then it just becomes a much nicer and lighter place to live.
Do you have a mentor?
I had a life coach who I love. You might be familiar with Christine McGrory, who wrote The Key. I arrived at Unlock the Key at the ripe age of 17, before I had the school, before I had anything. And they will always say, I always had vision and I always had this big ideas, but I didn't necessarily have the building blocks to achieve that. And I now have my own sort of technique. I make a life checklist. I like a tick.
Do you have a vision board?
A vision board times 10. We've got a vision board for each member of my senior team must do a vision board at the start of the year. We do an away day where we go and we create those visions. But I also like to do one for 5 years and one for 3 years, because a year's not a long time, right? 12 months, it's like, it could take me 12 months to have a conversation now before a site opens next year for Skinny. And I'm like, it's a bit boring, that, isn't it, Heather? I like it done yesterday. But, but unfortunately, we've got external factors. So yeah, I love a vision board. I love a life checklist as well. So I would always try and assign a date, right? As creatives, there's so much of our decisions that are held at the way of commissioners or editors or producers, where actually they've got a boss, right? So it's like, I could take frustration out on a commissioner or a producer, but ultimately it needs to come back to the bottom line of, is it feasible? Is it going to land well? And is it going to make money? So I always think things that you are in control of are a great thing to put on a vision board. Like, I'm in control of my health. I'm in control of what time I wake up. I'm in control of what I eat. I'm in control of making sure that I raise the capital of my business. I might not be in control on getting a 6-part drama this year, but I can certainly fling more darts at the dartboard and hopefully one of them stick.
So being in control of all of these decisions, What was it? Because I just want to come back to your laser eye surgery, because I think that obviously has had such a massive impact on your well-being and your confidence.
Totally.
What was it about it that you thought, right, I need to do this?
I didn't like looking at myself. And that's a massive thing for, like, you know, I was a 25-year-old man, and I hated the vision of me that the show put out. I felt that I didn't look my best. I also felt that, like, the glasses and the fit and the sort of costume it just wasn't me.
Yeah.
I am the most unrigid person. Like, if you know me, I get a twin set on. I get something that's loose, that's comfortable, and I felt like for 3.5 months of my life, I had to wear a suit and a tie, and it made me feel so stiff.
Yeah.
And I think part of the barrier of taking that away was removing the glasses. I think that to get rid of my glasses gave me so much more freedom. I think that as a presenter, I could go into a space and know that I was going to get glare. As a business owner, I think that it just made me see things from a different way. But having laser eye surgery, I don't know, it just gave me this new lease of life. It gave me a new lease of confidence. And I felt like the me at 17 who was just uber confident was back, because as you get older, you get flung so much at you, don't you? And you start to become like a bit of a shell of going, oh God, who am I and what am I?
Yeah.
And I think that the image of me that was presented to 10 million people wasn't the image of me that I wanted. And I think I had to do a lot of work to overturn that, to become not the person in the suit and the tight waistcoat and the glasses.
Yeah. But it's such a great opportunity though, isn't it? To be able to rebrand, I feel like.
You probably, as the PR star that you are, know this more than me, but I think life's about phases or chapters, right? And the Apprentice chapter is one that I love. If we were ever to write the autobiography, it would be one of my favourite chapters to put pen to paper to. But it was only a short phase of my life. And it's like, right, how do we build on that? How do we grow on that? And what does the next phase look like for Reece Donnelly?
Well, that's it. And also, I think it's important that, you know, some of the decisions that we make in our lifetime don't define us. Because we all, you know,
Heather,
I think
I've made some awful decisions in business. Like, I always tell this story, but when we got our first studio, Rogart Street, beautiful space, and overnight, I can get a vision in my head and want to run with it. And I came in one day and I was like, guys, we're taking all the carpets up. I want AstroTurf in here. And I'll never forget the team going, what is going on with him? And I was like, it's just the green on the logo would match that. And then I remember thinking, why am I AstroTurfing the full of the indoors of a building just because it might be more Instagrammable? And see, now I'm like, I always laugh at that version of me that would react overnight. So now in our team, we have a rule. It's a 7-day rule before we sit on a decision. I'm like, because yes, we're a small business. Yes, we can react. But I always say, sleep on it, sit on it, and bring it back to the next Monday meeting, because what we think one Monday might not be the best thing the next.
So you have a 7-day window.
Like, sometimes we would take over months, but the minimum decision making time in our business now is 7 days, because you know things can be a trend. And me coming in and changing the carpets to AstroTurf was absolutely ludicrous. There's no need.
No. And fake plastic grass is not cool.
It's not comfortable. You can't hoover it. It's not hygienic.
It's not sustainable.
It was ripped up quicker than it was put down, is what I'll say.
So just when you mentioned chapter, you know, autobiography, you know, have you got any aspirations to write a book, or, you know, what is next for you?
Heather, I love life, as you know. I think that where I'm at now, I'm loving this sort of new era of producing and writing and directing. And I think that I feel very fortunate that you can choose your day. Yes, I still go to my work every day. Yes, I still have so many things that I need to do, but I really don't know. I'm loving the new idea of Patter. We are developing so many different ideas. So I don't really know. I think that what I do know is I'll only choose work that I want to do. And I love the fact that now I'm in a position to grow a team of amazing people. Like, I just think that there's so much more satisfaction in growing people than growing things.
Reece Donnelly, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. What a delight.
It's an absolute pleasure.